Welcome to The Heartbeat, our regular check-in to the pulse of our community, where we highlight current stories and essential resources related to power-based violence. Today we are covering a new law related to intimate partner violence in Tennessee, the importance of prevention, and things you can be mindful of daily to keep you and your community safer. On January 1st, 2026, Tennessee became the first state to create a domestic violence registry. The new law creates a database of people who have been convicted of a domestic violence offense. The law was advocated for by a mother who lost her daughter Savannah to intimate partner violence, a law she believes could have been prevented if a registry had existed, as Savannah's abuser had a past history of domestic violence offenses. The database provides the abuser's picture, name, date of birth, conviction date, and country of conviction. The database excludes other identifiable information like address or any other state or federal identification numbers. The maximum time an abuser could be on the registry is 20 years, and that would be with 4 or more convictions of domestic violence. And the shortest time on the registry is 5 years, and that is with 1 domestic violence charge. So there are some limitations and changes to the rule or to the law based on the date of which the conviction happened. So if you have 2 or more convictions filed on or after January 1st of 2026, this would instantly result in an abuser being registered on the list. However, 1 conviction in 2026 with a conviction or convictions in past years would also result in being put on the registration. An individual with past convictions but no convictions in 2026 would not be put on the registry. The registry is brand new, and it hasn't been around long enough for any in-depth research to show if it serves as an effective tool for IPV prevention. However, the awareness and safety that this law will bring to the community fits into what we do know, which is when systems take abuse seriously, respond consistently, and prioritize survivor safety, outcomes do improve. So what do you think could come of this? How could this new law improve someone's life or safety in their community?
I mean, so many different ways. And I wanted to first start out with, too, is that when it comes to any law being put in place, it's always hard to find that deadline of when things should be put into place and not. And so while I understand the delineation between the 2026 convictions versus past convictions, again, there are going to be people that are going to be missed because of it, and that is usually just how things work. I'm not saying it's right and that it should be that way, but that is often, there has to be a cutoff line somewhere. So I can understand why that would be alarming to some folks. But again, and I know people are just trying their best to enforce this in the best way possible. But how can a registry like this actually help people? I think in many different ways, right? If somebody is just starting to date another individual or is even thinking about dating an individual, they can easily just look up the person's name on the registry and see if they have past convictions or not. Why is that so important? Well, while there may be some warning signs that this person you're engaging in a relationship with is an abuser, oftentimes those warning signs may be hard to find or hard to indicate, right? And so this is a clear line that somebody can look up to see, okay, this person has past convictions that are very recent, and so I should not, continue to engage in this relationship and therefore keeping somebody safe. Because we know once somebody is already in an abusive relationship, the cycle of violence happens or can happen, and the violence just continues to get worse, right? And so if somebody knows before they even engage in that relationship, it's going to be much easier for them to exit that relationship and to stop talking with this person. Whereas if they're already in a relationship, oftentimes then somebody has to have a safety plan in order to leave the relationship, and it can get really messy and really convoluted and scary really quickly.
Absolutely. And going back to what you were saying about red flags and warning signs that someone might pick up, online dating is very, 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 very popular these days, and it's honestly probably a little harder to pick up on those red flags or those warning signs if it is purely through an online connection. And so I think the registry could also serve as a good prevention tool for online dating seeing as if you meet someone online, but you've never met them, you've never been to the state they live, you don't know any of their friends to give you kind of any pickup on something that, you know, who they are or anything. And I think having this registry and being able to search a name could be really helpful with that side of dating as well.
Absolutely. Now, I know this is just in Tennessee, but hopefully other states will follow.
Absolutely. That would be the hope.
Yeah.
So, other forms of prevention that are shown to be effective are specialized domestic violence courts, where judges are trained in trauma informed care and focus on supports and services, as well as protective orders that we know prioritize survivor safety, hold the abusers accountable, and both of these prevention tools are associated with lower rates of repeated abuse, increased accountability and awareness, as well as destigmatizing intimate partner violence, showing that it is not a private matter. A statistic from the CDC shows that about 16 million women and 11 million men report intimate partner violence before the age of 18. So to me, this shows that prevention and early intervention really matter, not only for adults, but for teens and young people too.
Absolutely. And that's what I appreciate about this registry as well, is that it's based on the amount of offenses you have, right? So 5 years for one, and then it goes up to the 20-year mark. And I think that's really important because we know that this affects so many people, but it also allows abusers to be able to rectify their behaviors and to do better, right? To
Absolutely.
stop violence and to stop that continuation, right? So I think what I appreciate about this law is that it's not a one and done situation. It is okay, we see that there's a pattern, but let's allow you time to get the support that you need and to get help so that this cycle does not continue. But if it does continue, then there's going to be consequences, right? And you're going to be on the registry for longer, which I think is completely fair and should happen. I think,
Absolutely.
yeah, I think abusers do need to have some sort of accountability for their actions. I know people differ on what that accountability looks like, but I think having some accountability is a great start.
Absolutely. And so, like you were just kind of stating, this law could be a good step in the right direction. Survivors being heard and given justice, and abusers being held accountable with resources in place for intervention and healing. So, what are some steps the listeners can take for practical everyday intervention or prevention? This could look like knowing the warning signs, making sure that you have clear and set boundaries that are being respected, that there's open and healthy communication between partners, and that no one feels like they're being overstepped or taken advantage of in any sort of way in the relationship. This could also look like believing and supporting survivors. A friend or a family member, or maybe even someone you don't know, might come up to you and share with them an experience they've had with a partner or a person that has abused them in some sort of way. Being there and listening and supporting and offering the survivor just open support and care can really go a long way in keeping that person safe. And just believing a survivor helps keep the general community safer as well. Laws like Tennessee's registry certainly raise awareness, keeps the community safer, and promotes a call to action for other states, but prevention also happens in everyday conversations. Learning about safe dating at a young age and communicating openly about healthy relationships, challenging controlling behavior when it's safe to do so, and investigating red flags are all effective prevention tools that anyone can utilize to protect them and their community. Hartley House's mission is to end intimate partner violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, and child abuse, and to provide survivors with safety, shelter, and support services. Here's how you can help. Donate gift cards by dropping them off at Hartley House or mailing them to our office. Spread the word. Share this initiative with friends, family, and coworkers. Every contribution helps survivors feel supported and cared. Thank you all for tuning in. To learn more, visit hartleyhouse.org, sign up for our newsletter, follow us on social media, and subscribe to this podcast for updates. Together, we can create a community where everyone feels safe and valued. Until next time, take care and keep advocating for change.